Welcome to Satsang. You know, if I were to sum up the two most important words that really, really changed my thinking and made everything clear, were the two words, you are a human being. You know, just a while ago, a couple of days ago, I received an email question, and he said, and someone wrote me in a very short note, and he says, how do you go deeper? And so I answered him. I said, you take what we take naturally, we don't question, and go deeper into it. You are a human being. See, we take it for granted, you're a human being. Did you know that all the mysteries and everything is contained within those two words? So what I'd like you to do today is listen to these two words. See how they combine, integrate to make you who you are. And if you get a glimpse of how beautiful and grand you are and how it will answer all your problems and questions and makes them clear just by understanding these two words, well, we've really done a good job, this satsang. Okay? You are a human being. Human, listen to this, please, as if you've never heard it before, okay? Really listen. Human is 100% imagination. 100%. It is mind. It's all mind. All psychology is based on the psyche. Psychology, okay? The study of the mind. It never goes beyond that. But then, if you use imagination as it's meant to be used, you become a person of vision. You begin to see deeper and deeper. Then you begin to find that the being that you are, human being, is infinite. And that is your true nature. So imagination, when it's used constructively and purposefully, it will lead to infinity. And then the moment you touch upon infinity, it's infinite. You see? And then you begin to have glimpses of how incredible you are. You know, there were two books written by people, well, of course there were more than two, but two that I have more or less read about a near-death experience. One was with Betty Eadie, which was incredible. She was brought up very religious, and the moment she experienced herself in this state beyond body, she found tremendous freedom, a joy, a love that she never could possibly put in words. Well, the latest book, which is becoming a bestseller, is Anita Moorjani's book,
Dying to be me.
Dying to be Me. And here again, she's Indian, brought up in the Hindu religion, and she was restricted by many beliefs and conditions, and she experienced cancer. She died from a very serious condition, cancer, and she came back, and she experienced a whole new way of living in that freedom of the infinite. So let's go into it. I'll try to make it as practical and to understand as possible. At least how I received it, it was very, very clear. Okay, first, you are human. Human means that you have imagination. You can make of your life the way you want it to be, because it's all intention, remember? You are the product of your intention all the time, but we'll get to that in a moment. So the process of imagination is to use imagination to enter the highest plateau of being that you can. And there is no limit by using your imagination, because imagination is limitless. When you start reaching that everything that the mind has conjured is imagination, and you see it as imagination, not reality, then you enter the infinity of it. Infinity is reality. It is the only reality. But it's infinite. My God, it blows you away just to feel it. Okay? So what we call happiness and joy and peace and love is infinity. They are not something. They are not emotions. But what happens with imagination is that no one has trained us to use our imagination. So it uses us. Because it uses us, we begin to think I am a me. You see? Because I define myself as my past, as my memory, as my conditioning. So I think of me. So if somebody asks me, I am Burt. You see, and I go back to my past, and I go back to my conditioning, and this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. But in truth, I am not limited at all. I am part of that infinity because I am a human being. So what we have done is that we have stopped using our imagination constructively, and we use it negatively, destructively. Now you might say, but why do we do that? We don't do that on purpose. What happens is that we do not realize our potential, our infinite potential, which is the spirit. And so we think of ourselves as a very small, separate individual. Because we do that, we develop feelings that we are not the infinite spirit. So therefore we feel as if we're missing something. We feel as if I'm not good enough. We feel as if there's something wrong with me. You see? Because you're identifying with something so small that this is who you think you are. But you can't help instinctively keep reaching out for more and more and more. But you think it's all pertaining to the me part, not realizing how grand you really are. Are you with me so far? Okay, so this is what we do when we do not realize our potential, which is imagination. And so we begin to imagine that we are limited, and we make it real. Now the worst thing you can do is to take imagination and you don't see it as imagination. You make it real. The moment you make it real, that's destructive. For example, what is loneliness? Separation from the whole. Smallness. That's imagination does that. Why do we feel lonely? You see, because we think there is a me, apart from the whole, apart from the rest. And so we create this semblance, this idea that this me is now, oh, there's something wrong with me. People don't love me. I am not whole, there's something wrong. We do not realize how grand and infinite we are because nobody taught us about spirituality. They only taught us religion instead of spirituality, you see. Now we're entering a whole new realm of understanding, a whole new realm of being, which is the truth. And the truth is that you are the infinite being. But you cannot reach the infinite being if you make imagination real. Because the moment you make anything imagined real, you have placed a box around it. Are you with me so far? You're not expanding. You're not reaching out further and further. Similarly, depression. What is depression? Depressed. You see? You're making yourself small in your imagination, and you make it real. The moment you make these feelings real, we call it dysfunction. We call it suffering. You see? So that's what suffering is. Suffering is simply creating destructive imagination. You see, in psychology they teach you that you are the product of your self-image. But they never tell you that self-image is just imagination. Self-image is an image, you see? So you have an image of yourself. Now, if that image of yourself is see yourself as separate from the rest, well, that's how you're going to feel. And that creates all the known emotional dysfunctions. Remember what emotional is, okay? Emotional is, first, there is the consciousness. Consciousness thinks, creates a thinker. Thinker, in turn, we've said this before, okay, but I'm repeating it. Thinker then brings something that you believe is real. The moment you believe it is real, it becomes emotion, a motion of energy. The motion of energy is in the body. So whenever you feel something is wrong, and to you it's real, your body can even have anxiety attacks, panic, and it can go through very deep emotional pain. But did you know that all emotional pain, all of it, is imagination? When you realize that, how free you become? And that's just, you enter another realm of being. To the outside, people see you as like everybody else. But when you wake up to this fact, all of a sudden, the way you see things is totally revolutionized. You see? Because everything is imagination. So now, what we have done with imagination is, because it is not constructive, because we're not using it in a positive way, in a good way, imagination cannot be helped. The reason you see the world is because of imagination. The reason we're experiencing each other, because the senses are experiencing true perception, which is all imagination. You know what imagination is? Mind. Perception. Okay? It is all imagined. See, if two people look at the same thing, their perception is totally different. Two people can look at the same painting. One can see it as beautiful, the other one can see it as ugly. One can see a human being as, I don't like them, the other one says, I love them. In other words, what I'm saying is that everyone's perception is according to how you imagine things to be. But none of it is real. None of it is real. It is all in the mind. Well, the moment you see that, you don't try to change it. Because if you try to change it, then you're making it, the imagination, real. Are you with me? You see? So if you make the imagination real, you might say, oh, I don't want to accept it, I'm not accepting it, it isn't real. That does not mean a thing. The point is, are you seeing the truth? The truth is infinity, being. Infinity means that what is happening, but it has nothing to do with truth. Truth is that which never changes. Truth has no beginning, no end. It is beyond time and space. It is infinite. You see? So when you begin to realize that you are that infinite beyond the body, you are that infinite, and the appearance of your form is the infinite appearing as you. Now, are you beginning to see how beautiful and grand you are, that you are a human being? My God. You know, the moment I realized that in the year 2000, it changed me completely. All the psychology I studied and all the books I read meant nothing. That became so incredibly clear. You are a human being. Being playing the human role. And you play at it as a very limited, separate individual. When in truth, you are limitless. So you see, Einstein said something very beautiful. He said, the greatest gift we've been given is imagination. Because through imagination we become creative. Now here's the beautiful thing. Anything that you create through your imagination, nobody else exactly creates the same thing. In other words, everything that you create through imagination is always new. Always. You see, it's never a copy of another. Because it's creative imagination. See? And we become inspired when we can put that imagination into focus. Now, let's go back to why we all suffer and believe, you know, that our imagination is real. Okay? Because you see, anything that you think, did you know that most people believe their thoughts to be real? And they act accordingly? Why do we defend ourselves? Why do we protect our image? Why do we get hurt so easily? You see? Why is this happening all the time? Because we think we are just a body. Now, is the body real or not? As a human, it is real, but the human is consciousness in the appearance of the infinite. See, the infinite, as we discussed in the last satsang, is just energy. Incredible, incredible energy. This room, the space in this room is made up of billions of energy waves. Okay? We cannot see them because if our senses were to the point where we can see the energy that's there, we couldn't survive in the body. So it has to be limited according to our capacity to survive. Do you understand what I mean? If we were to see the truth, for example, many psychics have developed such incredible clairvoyance or clairaudience that they hear actual voices, sounds, or visions that normal people don't see. But many of them can become very sick out of it because they are not ready spiritually to meet such an onslaught of images. Because everything is imagination. See, now when the imagination is not limited, you don't see it as real, it is then that you enter the spiritual life. Okay? You with me so far? Before we go a little further? Okay. In other words, the moment you make something real, that's called human. Okay? You're believing the thoughts, you're believing your emotions, you're making these real. But the moment you see them as just imagination, okay? You've already moved deeper. You've already been, you're taken out of the box, so to speak. Okay? You're no longer limited. You're seeing more and more and more. And the more you see, the more free you become, the more liberated you become. You know? This weekend I was in a hotel. It's in the Sunshine Coast. And the room was small and dark, and but the beach was just next door. And as soon as I was sitting there, I had this incredible feeling that came to me that I have nothing to do with this room. I am the beach, I am the water, I can hear the splash and everything. All of a sudden the room filled with light. It didn't last more than a few seconds. And so I knew from then that this is what I need to talk about today. This is what usually happens all the time, you see? So, okay, so where do we go from here? Okay, now it's very clear, the imagination of a human. Imagine now how beautiful it is to be human. Because your imagination is unlimited. But the moment you make it real, you've created time and space. You've created a box, you see? And now you need to get out of that box. You need to see how grand you are, how unlimited you are. What we call spirit has no words. You cannot talk about spirit. Because spirit means no end, no beginning, no end. And that's who you are.
But what does it take to get out of the box? Like faith?
To begin to see, to allow yourself to see. I think the word is to allow. Because you have all the power. Mm-hmm. As a human, you've got choice. And the choice is to see between love and fear. Love has no limit. You cannot say, this is love. You see two people having sex. That's only a very small part of that, you see? And then you see two people learning to love themselves more, it's growing and growing. That's only still limited. Love itself is wholeness. It is totality. Okay? So that's how you get out of the box. You get out of the box but when you ask, like this man asked me, he says, what is the question? He said, how do you go deeper? Okay? By always knowing that whatever you're seeing, there's more and more. And that more is always more and more beautiful. Because you see, the moment you find yourself free, that very freedom which has no time and space, which has no beginning or end, is the greatest ecstasy and joy that you can imagine. It's nirvana. The ugliness that we see in the world, the limitation, the darkness, we have made it real as humans because of our imagination. But it is not real at all. We fight against each other, war against each other, nations against nations, because we think in terms of separation. But that's all part of the evolution. In truth, we're not really doing anything because there's no death anyway. See? But we have to go through this process of evolution until we begin to realize that we are more than just human. We are being. You see, which is again the infinite. Now I keep repeating this word infinite. Infinite means it's infinite. You know, some people talk about the infinite and call it God, which is beautiful, because to me God means infinite. But then they call it Father, or they call it Mother, or they call it this, or they call it that, which is fine, you can call it whatever you want. But the thing is that you make it into an entity. You make it into something. And the moment you make God into something, there we go again, limiting yourself. God is everything and nothing. There is nothing outside of that. You see? There is nothing outside of that. There is no beginning and no end. And when you begin to feel that, it is that feeling. See, some people say, Burt, you keep talking about awakening all the time, and I keep reading about it. How do I awaken? You've lost it already. You don't awaken. There's no awakening. There's only seeing the moment as you are. You know, just a while ago you asked me a question, and you says, how do you see that you are not the body? Is that your question?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't see the fact that you are not the body, but you see that you are far more than the body, because the body is made up of trillions and trillions of cells. A cell is so small that's invisible to the naked eye, and you have to magnify it quite a few times to actually begin to conceive of that energy. You see? But the cell is a memory. Okay? When it's densified into together, you put trillions and trillions of them together, it appears solid. You see, which is consciousness in a form. That form lives and dies, has time and space within it, but it itself is a moving thing. It recycles all the time. It constantly recycles. But that's not who you are, but that is what you're using it as an expression. It feels very solid because when you look in the mirror and you touch yourself, it feels very solid because the senses are giving you that feeling. See? But when you sit very still and realize that the best feelings you've ever had were always when you disappeared. For example, how do you disappear? There's a word called passion. To me, I love the word. I'm not talking just sexual passion here, because there's just a small inkling of the possibilities of orgasm. I'm talking about the real orgasm of spirituality. You see, we all want passion. Passion is what love truly is. You know, you look at a person and all of a sudden you are connected. And you feel that connection. And the moment you realize that connection, you're drawn to them. And you forget yourself. And in that forgetting of yourself, you begin to feel that oneness. Okay? But that's just sexual, that's just physical. Now you can do the same thing when you're sitting very still. And all of a sudden you feel as if you're one with everything. I was listening to the water. I went to the beach. I do qigong in the beach, you know, and it was beautiful there, Sunshine Coast. And as I was doing that, I sit very still, and as I sit very still, just look. And in that looking, there is just this feeling. I am. You know, I forget about Burt. Just I am, and that I amness. You've all had it, otherwise you wouldn't be coming here. You know, you have that feeling and you feel so good. Okay? So that passion now is going towards the infinite. And there's no passion greater than the passion for the infinite. We call it passion for God, passion for the oneness, for the wholeness that you are. In other words, you're falling in love with who you are. You see? And as you fall in love with who you are, it is then you begin to have a glimpse. I am far more than this body. Yes, I do have a body. But I am far more than this body. Because what is real, especially when the body is relaxed and is not in pain, when you relax, you begin to see how grand you are. You know, I've done hypnotherapy for many years. And one of the techniques I used to use with people is have them relax completely. And then I keep saying, be aware of this, be aware of that, be aware, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I says, now, you are aware of this room. Without opening your eyes, feel you are this room. And now I say, okay, now you're aware of 7th Avenue, which is our street. Okay, now you are the whole of the street, and they keep on going deeper, deeper. And then I say, you are the whole of Vancouver. Because there's no limit to awareness, you see, it's all imagination. And now you're the whole of British Columbia. And now you're the whole of Canada. And now you're the whole of the world. And now you're in orbit, looking at the world. And you can see the blue planet, how beautiful, and you just are. And you keep expanding, expanding, expanding. And all of a sudden, when I get them out of that semi-hypnotic state, they are absolutely radiant. Absolutely radiant. You can see their eyes are so alive, because they've experienced something you cannot experience in the body. But you can experience it beyond the body. The body is just a covering. But when you use imagination in a constructive way, and you begin to see possibilities of that, as it takes you deeper and deeper, what happens? You begin to feel love, you begin to feel joy, you begin to feel a wholeness you might never have experienced. Because now, what you're doing, even your body through quantum healing, it's amazing what it does. You know, even if you're sick or you have something going wrong with you, to do a meditation like that, an expansion of awareness, you can feel the body healing and getting younger, because that's how incredibly powerful it is. So, because you are going to another vaster experience of your truth, in other words. Okay, so we're expanding awareness all the time, and there's no limit to that awareness. You see, that's the beautiful thing about awareness, is that it has no limit. Now, someone wrote me an email. You might be able to read it a little later. And he asked me. He said, well, if the self, capital S, which is pure awareness, is self-organizing, he said, does it self-organize my negativity?
Yes.
No. Because the self-awareness does not see negativity. It sees only vastness. So the moment you think negative, but you are right in a way, just like this is a second, okay, you're right in a way. If you're thinking a negative thought, and you rely on the fact that the self-organizing principle of pure awareness will take care of it, it will take care of it by seeing how much love you're really craving for, but you've made it negative because you think you are limited. But the moment it gives you that glimpse, it transforms that negativity into the love that you really want. See, all the time, there's never a time when we're not seeking ourselves. Unless, of course, you realize who you are, then the seeking stops. But you're always seeking yourself. You want to be appreciated. You want to be respected. You hate being ignored. You want to be loved. You want to be understood. Right? We all want that. Okay? But we want that because that is our nature of wholeness. But we do it from our self-image, from the limited sense, because we're seeing ourselves as simply a very limited, image. So anyway. So, what was I getting at here? Yeah. So you see yourself as very, very limited. So the self-organizing part of you, when you rely on it, it will take care of everything that you have been thinking about the world and you that is judgmental, that is derogatory, that is negative, or whatever. But it doesn't see the negativity, it sees only how much you want to grow, to expand. You see? So when you trust that self-organizing principle, which is awareness, and you trust it completely, it will take care of you. Because it takes you to that point of beyond time and space, so to speak. Am I clear? It's getting a little bit...
So I have that question right here
Right.
that you mentioned about the negative.
What was the question?
Then self-organizing for the negative.
Oh,
that
right.
one you just said, and I was thinking about that. So, and I said yes, it would organize it in my mind. But my thought was yes, because as self-organization takes place, you don't even attach to the negative thoughts.
That's right.
You just see them for what they are. So in that sense,
and the moment you see the negative thought that you had, you find negativity never existed. It was just your interpretation of limitation that made it seem negative. But it itself was never negative. It was a need for example, fear of rejection. Most people suffer from that. Okay? Being fear, because we want love. We want wholeness. We want to feel okay all the time. So we fear rejection. So, but at the point when it comes to you and you begin to feel real pain, if you believe it to be real,
right.
okay? Well, I am rejected, you see? But why is it? If you were to look at it, you'll find it's because what I want more than anything is love. Well, what if you realize that you're already love? So no matter how people act towards you, it doesn't change one iota of who you are. The moment you begin to understand that fully, then you'll begin to find a peace you never thought you had. Are we getting...
Absolutely.
Right. You see? So this is, we don't change anything. We just allow ourselves to see. Even the words waking up to the truth or changing or transforming, maybe we should change those words. There's only seeing what is already here and now. What is here, you see? And as we begin to see, which is seeing deeper, as we begin to see what is, that it changes automatically. So, okay, so there are three aspects today that we discussed last satsang, but I'd like to make it a little briefer from what we covered. Okay, there are three steps to understand all questions and to understand all problems and to take advantage of them. Number one, you're always seeking yourself. Always, always, always. Stop one time and really look. And you'll find that you're always looking for yourself, wanting respect, wanting love, wanting appreciation, wanting attention, hate to be ignored, hate to be feeling unloved or unwanted. See, there's always yourself, you. There's nothing but you that you think about, okay? That's number one. Everybody's doing that. Now, to become aware of that, that's already a big step. Number two is that because of our seeking, we create intention. Intention, oh, they didn't love me, I've got to be nicer. Maybe I'll do something for them so that they can appreciate me better. So you try to change your way of looking at things through this intention. Not realizing that intention is creating your world now, because intention always materializes. Whether it's unconscious or conscious, it always materializes. I've had many people, come to see me and they said, why is this problem keeps occurring? And then as we lie down, we find that they've been choosing it through intention unconsciously, without actually knowing that they had that intention. Two people get married and they make the vows that we'll cherish each other for the rest of our lives, we'll always be there for each other in sickness and in health till death do us part. But one of the partners starts acting a little difficult, and so the other starts thinking, I don't want to put up with this anymore. You see, you carry just a little small intention, just small intention. I don't have to put up with this anymore. Okay, the moment you put that, you've already creating a separation. And then it's a matter of it happening. You see? And it leads to divorce or any separation. So what I'm saying is that we're always creating through our intention. Now that's number two. Number two, that what we've been seeking creates intentions in us. Intention is always between love and fear. Okay? So a conscious intention is a wonderful thing. And if we use visualization with intention, that's the power. You see? You know, I say to myself, I do everything on donation. And I say to myself, but the money will always come. I'll always live well, I'll always do right. And it never fails. Because when you create that conscious intention and you visualize it to be so, it has to materialize, because that is part of the self-organizing principle of awareness. You see? So in other words, if your intention, let's say a person is dying in bed, and they say, all I want right now, and the doctor says, he won't make it another 5 minutes. But this man has the intention to meet his son, who's overseas and might need a whole day to make it by flight to be at his bedside. Did you know that he won't die until his son arrives, because his intention is to be there until his son arrives? Are you with me? That, thank you. Thank you. So intention always materializes when you have a very strong intention, because that is your power of infinity, you see, when it's a conscious intention. If you have a conscious intention of, you don't worry or be concerned, you see, about something, somehow or other you're taken care of. There is a tremendous power, you see. But unconscious intention materializes too. So if you have a fear, you have an unconscious intention of failing, or unconscious intention of something not working out. I have so many people saying, why does this keep happening to me? You see, and all I can say is, you have unconscious intention for it to happen. Because nobody is doing it to you. You are complete in yourself. The life you're living now is the life you have chosen, consciously or unconsciously. This is where we can make use of imagination. And then incidentally, after we've read some letters, I'd like to put you through a very simple technique, 5-minute technique, that when you use it in a fearful situation, the fear will change into joy. Okay, so you're looking forward to that? Okay, so we're going to do it, but first, so that's the second part. The second part has to do with your choice. Okay, if you choose consciously or unconsciously, it's being done all the time. You choose fear or you choose love. If you're choosing unconsciously, it will happen instantaneously. If you choose it consciously and focus on the love, then of course it will also be very successful. The point is to be aware that whatever is happening to you, nobody is doing it to you. Okay? It is always happening to you, because that's exactly what you're creating in your mind. And the reason you are asking your question, why is it happening to me? Because it's done unconsciously. You don't know you actually have that intention. You see? And number 3, the only solution, the only resolution, the only success you can have is presence. Presence is pure awareness. Presence is the unlimited, beginningless, endless state of you, the infinite nature of you. Okay, so let's now apply what we have learned, okay, through questions people have asked. Okay, I brought just a few here, and if everybody would read one, would be wonderful.
I got the first one here, so I might as well start.
Okay.
Hi Burt, many thanks for replying to my earlier query. I have one question for you. What is meant by going deeper? I have tried to stay in the now on many occasions and tried to breathe into the uncomfortable feelings. I have had limited success to date. I continue to bite my nails and am still semi-addicted to thinking, though I have made some small improvements. I cannot get to the next level. I accept most of what you say. Gives a spiritual and practical reason for our existence. Grateful in advance for your response.
Okay. Okay, he asked mainly, the major question was how to go deeper. Okay, so what happens is that when we look at the ocean, most people see just the waves on the surface. But stop for a moment. You're looking at the ocean that has a depth you could never even conceive of. A world in itself as you look deep. So you realize that whatever you're looking at the surface. To go deeper means to see that whatever you're looking at has deeper and deeper and deeper values that we have totally forgotten to look at. This is where our imagination has to come in, because when you look at the surface of the ocean, all you see are waves, but you're not able to see deeper unless you dive. Okay, but in your mind you dive by simply seeing that the ocean waves are just the surface of the ocean. The ocean itself is unfathomable. I mean, if you go a couple of miles down, there's another world with creatures probably we've never even seen. Similarly, with the weather, you know, it's very dark, it's rainy, it's cloudy. How do you look deeper? Know that even though it's dark, even though it's cloudy, the sun is still there. Do you see what I mean, deeper? You're not actually seeing it physically, but you know it's there.
So you're seeing what's happening in your life, you're observing what's going on, and you can't really go deeper in the sense that there's nothing you can do but be present to what's happening, and you're taken deeper. Is that it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, let's read another one.
Dear Burt, thanks for your kind help again. I have found the peace of God in my life and do choose the right mind when I need to make my choices. My problem was that other people's egos now tend to take me away from the peace of God, and I'm struggling to not get involved and sucked into their egoic mindsets. I'm sure that will come with time, but having only just managed to deal with my ego, having to recognize and deal with other people's egos is a further challenge. Their ego can easily rekindle your ego, and before you know it, you have lost the peace, and then you cannot be of help to anyone else in the wrong mind, as well as hurting yourself. Many exclamation marks. Just when I thought that I was out of the woods, I can see that another one lies ahead.
So, how do we look at that? You see exactly what's going on, right? It's very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any comments?
Well, if you... They haven't truly seen what's going on in their life.
That's right.
You can't be bothered by other people when you're truly seeing.
Because whatever you see people doing to you, you are creating through intention without realizing it. The fact that it's happening to you, you have created it.
Right.
Nothing happens by chance. The world we experience is the world of our own seeing. That's a big one, and very few people can throw themselves around it, but it's a fact. It's one of the first things that comes to you, that you are whole, everybody, you're part of everyone else. And whatever you think is happening out there, it is happening in you because you are experiencing it. See, so what else was there? Did he ask at the end of how to...
No, that's it. Just when I thought I was out of the woods, I can see that another one lies ahead.
That's right, yeah. And that's very good that he says that. Because it never really ends. It keeps on taking us deeper and deeper and deeper until we realize and not get so stuck into thinking, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why is it happening like this? You see? The point is to see, oh good, good, this is teaching me to go deeper. Marvelous. You see? So you enjoy everything that is happening because it's giving you the chance to start seeing more and more. Okay, nobody read the next?
Got one here. It's called Struggling on the Path to Awakening. Hi Burt, I have a personal question which I really hope I get a response. I'm 19. A few months ago, my ego was shaken and I came to realize the true self. I've been on the journey ever since and now I feel like it is somewhat fading away. I feel like I'm going back to my ego pattern. However, sometimes I still feel in touch with my essence. I look at my misery as a blessing that it has awakened me at such age, but I don't want to go back. Since I do, I'm not sure where I will end up and when I will have such opportunity again. I feel like maybe I'm trying too much. Do you have any advice? Do you think it's possible to go back after creating an understanding of the situation? Thank you so much. I really hope I hear from you.
Okay. Now, anybody can offer, this is a very simple one. I'd like to hear from you. It's very simple. This happens very often. People have a glimpse, they have an opening, and all of a sudden they regress. Why does it happen? Why do we so-called lose it? Why do we lose what we think we have gained?
We haven't embodied what we've gained.
Excellent. That's right. And we still taking it on a personal level. So we think I am winning and I am losing. You see?
They're looking for security. They're looking for answers, and there is none.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. But when you see, when we get a glimpse, when we get a realization, okay, what realized it was that moment of stillness. You could be cooking, you could be walking down the street, you could be in a park. Oh, there's insight. Something tells you why? Because your mind at that moment was receptive and open to that which you are. And that's how answers come to you. But then you begin to feel good. And you feel so free. Wow, I'm so inspired. And then you begin to think it is you who realized it. And you begin to hold on to it. And you lose it. The ego wants to own. The ego never realizes anything. You realized and you had a glimpse because for a moment there was no ego. For a moment, there was a moment when you just were. And you had an opening. But then you try to own it. Oh, how do I get back to it? You can't go back. You see, because there is no you that goes back and forth, that sees and doesn't see. There's only seeing when there is no you, when there is no person. Are you with me? Okay. So therefore, when you try to own something, it owns you. And you make it real. I had a glimpse. I've achieved something. I've become someplace. And the moment you do that, you already lost it even then. Then the next day you probably become depressed, disappointed and frustrated. Because you think you're going someplace. You don't go any place. You simply see there's nothing to go to, nothing to achieve, nothing to attain, nothing to overcome, nothing to fix. There's only to see that this moment is infinite. That's it. You see? And to live from that infinity, from that allness. And imagine it any way you like, but never make that imagination real. You can see it as a vast space. You can see it as, my God, you know, it's just light, whatever. But you cannot own it, and you cannot make it real. And then when you cannot make it real, it keeps getting more and more and more, because now it has no boundary. It is not in a box, you see. You do not confine that image and say it's real, because there is no reality. There's only the infinite. See, we call the infinite reality, but the reality itself, capital R, is the infinite itself. Are you with me? It's like a paradox here. But the infinite is infinite. You see? It's a total freedom. It has no conception of time and space. It just is. And when you're open to that isness, that's what true love is, that's what happiness, that's what peace is. Because nobody could take that away from you. Because it is not something you own, it is something you are. Okay, can we read one more?
I have one question for you. Since I've started bringing awareness into my life, step by step it helped me to see clearer and to feel better. But I have noticed that anger that lives in me has increased in its intensity whenever awareness subsides. Is it because the ego is dying, so it is even more angry? I need to do nothing when the anger arises. Just allow it completely, right? Your answer always helps. Thank you.
Okay. What then? Can we hear some comments here?
I think they have awareness, and it's not that the anger is more, is they're more sensitive because they're becoming aware and it's truly seeing the anger within themselves that they hadn't seen previously. So in seeing the anger, that's awareness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And when you accept the anger, it's okay for anything to be there.
Mm-hmm.
If you make it wrong, if you make it bad, if you think there's something wrong with you to be behaving that way, now that's called suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say it's okay, you see, and you see the anger there, you begin to go beyond it.
And seeing that anger there is also part of going deeper and seeing those intentions that we keep hidden.
And
that
that's
cause
right.
the
And the
issues
intentions
in our
have
life.
caused all those things to happen.
Right.
Right.
So that's good that they're seeing that.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And if they see that it is good and they feel good about it, now they've taken a step further into not getting so caught next time.
Mm-hmm.
You see? The point is to keep feeling good, gooder and gooder and goodest about it. Okay, can we read one more?
Dear Burt, I live near Montreal, Quebec, and French is my first language. I will do my best to explain my situation in English. Since several months, I am in a state of terror almost every day. This strong emotion always comes back since about 30 years. But this time, I took the decision to overcome. My strongest defense is to try to understand, to do the right thing. I am so afraid to let go of the control. I am always in a mode seeking, seeking and seeking, without never finding it. I watched all your videos and understand with my head what you are teaching, but my resistance is so strong. I am terrified. I am a student of ACIM since 6 years, and I can recognize that I have to face the biggest fear of letting go of the ego, letting go of his control, and trust love, my true being. Could you help me? I am willing to have a session with you by phone if it is possible for you. I am willing to go through this process to find my true nature. Instead of this terror, I prefer to feel real security, trust, and peace. Please give me your answer. I feel so powerless, and at the same time, the ego in me wants to try again and again to find another solution. No way.
Now do you see how he kept contradicting himself all the time? How he created everything he's experiencing? Mm-hmm. Is that clear with all of you? Don't accept something because I said it. You know, let's look at it, okay? See, he's creating his world right now, and he's afraid of losing the ego. He's holding on to it. What if he realized there is no ego? It's just an idea that he is the past experiences. You know, there's no ego. It's just a word. It's a word meaning that you have an image of yourself and you have made that image real. But it's an image. The problem is not the image, because imagination is beautiful. It's just that you made it real. And you cannot get out of the box until you see it for what it is. It's unreal. That's the only way that you can get out of it. See, if he starts seeing that he has created all that and steps back and sees for a moment what he's telling himself all the time, all those intentions. I must fight the ego, I mustn't be like this, I'm not happy this way. How he's creating unhappiness, he's creating struggle, he's creating control.
He's labeling himself.
He's labeling himself limited, he's creating this small box, and his imagination is confined. He doesn't see what he is doing to himself. You see? Now, there's nothing wrong with him. He's probably a very beautiful, intelligent young man. And not probably, he is. See, the fact that he wants to face this. But he has to see what he is thinking, the thoughts, the images that are constantly bombarding him and making them real. There is nothing real except infinity, except God, except love. You see? That is the only thing that is real. The moment you make something real in your mind, you can't step out of it because it's real now. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. This is so important to realize. Once you realize this, you start feeling your freedom already. Anything that you create which is limited, which is not making you feel good, your nature is good, your nature is love, your nature is spirit. And the moment you begin to see, because it's unlimited, you see, picture right now, you're just free. You're not limited to anything, not even an idea. You're just free. You know what the freedom does to you? It's incredible. It's incredible. I had a woman recently, and she was having a migraine. And all of a sudden, we were together. She said, "Oh, my migraine is coming to me." I said, "Sit down." And I said, "Do you want me to help you?" And she said, "Yes." And it was that simple. And I said, "Okay, now how are you feeling right now from 1 to 10? And she said, 8. I said, "Yeah, that's pretty advanced, because 10 is really bad and 1 is nothing." Then I put my finger on her forehead and I said, "Think nothing right now, just feel the finger. Just nothing but feel the finger. There's only the finger, there's only the touch. You are just totally here now, you can feel the moisture of the finger, blah, blah, blah." I went on for 1 whole minute like this. In the meantime, in that 1 minute, she wasn't thinking. She was simply being aware of the finger, not thinking about it. And then after I said, "Okay, now, how do you feel from 1 to 10? And it was way down. The headache is gone. It's really that simple to heal through pure awareness. And right now it's becoming called more quantum healing. Healing through the cellular body. You see? Awareness itself is the greatest healer there is, and very few people are aware of it. But another few years from now, and listen to this video another few years from now, and you'll see that it has come true. It's expanding more and more. People are beginning to learn about healing themselves through the power of awareness. Because everything that you experience physically, mentally, and emotionally is all created by mind. Of course, the miracles is very strong in that too. It's all mind. You see?
So it seems like all the emails and the questions are people wanting to be a human being.
Yes.
It's like you said, it's the simplest thing to be a human being, but it's not easy.
Yes. It's very simple, but it's not easy. Very, very good. My gosh, you have taken such a leap in your awareness. I remember the first few times you came. Bless you. Okay, so this is the whole thing, you know. You've got nowhere to go. Nothing you're going to achieve. Nothing you're trying to understand. Nothing to figure out. There's just only what is, and what is always beautiful. Now, there's something very few people understand. I think Byron Katie said, you've heard of Byron Katie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and she said, what is always love. Wow, people says, what is always love? You mean anger and fighting and struggling and revenge? Because when you look at what is, you'll always go deeper into it. You find all you ever wanted was to feel okay, was to feel right. You see? But the point is to go deeper into what is. Not to identify with it, because the moment you identify with anything negative, your mind creates an image. And the power of the mind is so great that it materializes it. See, that's why people end up in mental homes. That's why I go bonkers. Because imagination always materializes. So the moment you make it real, you have put yourself into that box. Okay, can we read one more?
Why isn't the knowledge of no self making this assumed self disappear? Why is oneness still a possibility? Please, I feel like a fish out of water gasping. I have no guru, no education, no like-minded people around. Please give me a precious moment from your time.
So sweet. Yeah. Okay. What was the first words he read?
Why isn't the knowledge of no self making this assumed self disappear?
Okay. Well, first of all, you make nothing appear and nothing disappear. We have to understand that. What we call self, Ramana Maharshi used to call it the self, capital S, which also referring to the unlimited infinite space that you are. That is who you are. The self you think you are is simply doesn't really exist except in your imagination. Okay? So if you try to get rid of that, if you try to, I mustn't think myself small, blah, 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 that very fact that you're saying, I mustn't think, you're going to think about it. Stop thinking about a monkey right now. Immediately you think about a monkey, right? You cannot stop thinking about something. It simply doesn't matter. You see, that's the only way to stop doing something. Don't give it importance. If something is bothering you, it's imagination that it's real that is bothering you. But nothing is real except what you make real in your mind. What we call reality is not something, it is space. It is infinite energy. It is unbounded being. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So this is the whole key. Okay. Now, do we? You probably have time to do the technique. Okay. This is the technique I want you to do now. Using imagination. Be very still. Close your eyes. Now take a very deep breath and count three times. 3, 3, 3. Take another deep breath. And count 2 3 times. 2, 2, 2. Now take another deep breath and count 1 3 times. 1, 1. Now you are in what is called the alpha state of relaxation. You're perfectly aware. You're just like you were, but this time you are still, very still. Now I'd like you to start picturing the most beautiful scene you can imagine, whether it's a beach or it doesn't matter. Just picture the most beautiful scene where you feel love, you feel warmth, you feel happy. You're by yourself, but nothing could be more perfect than just the way you are and where you are. Picture everything around you that can give you that feeling of just being. Now, if you are feeling relaxed and happy, joyous in that environment, put your tongue on your upper palate. It's called Bhaga, the technique. You create a connection to your brain right now. And also start massaging your earlobe, your right earlobe. Massage it and keep visualizing this scene as you massage gently the earlobe with your tongue on your upper palate. Now tell yourself that this is a trigger of this beautiful feeling that is within me, that beautiful state of being. Okay? Now, relax and open your eyes. Now this doesn't feel like much, does it? Well, if you have experienced a total relaxation during those few moments, next time you feel an attack is coming on, or you feel fear, or you feel something really bothering you, just put your tongue in your upper palate and do this.
Do we think about the good thing or just do that?
You don't need to think a good thing, because when you did this, you were in that state. This would remind you of it. You see? But if it comes to mind, it's even better. Then where's the fear? You see? So if you're ever in any situation where you are uncomfortable, you just put your tongue in your upper palate. You just do this.
Everywhere we go.
And the imagination. Oh yeah, well, you just do it for a few seconds. You know, people think you might be just...
When I see you in the grocery store,
and you do that, and you just go back to that scene that you created in your mind, that imagination. Now next time, please try it, okay? So that when you come back, you have something to tell me. Okay? Now next time you're feeling agitated or you're feeling frightened, okay? Stop for a moment, take a deep breath, put your tongue in your upper palate and do this. And let go. And see. You begin to feel better already. And the more often you do it, the more powerful it becomes. There was a woman who was afraid of heights. And all she has to do is just go and look down, and her stomach would go, you know, excuse me, I burped. and she was afraid of heights. And I showed her this technique. And next time she was on a building, she did this. And she felt okay. Yeah, it is that simple. And once you start trusting yourself, trusting your imagination, okay, that imagination will take you to infinite possibilities. Okay, namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.